Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about a very serious subject. We're going to be talking about voter integrity and fair voting. I really want to get into this because it's going on around the country. We're hearing about it. Look, I want to talk about, first of all, photo IDs. I want to talk about voter IDs. I also want to talk about driver's licenses and things like that. So in most states now, on the back of your driver's license, you have a scanner. And this is a fact. Look at the back of your driver's license. Check it out. Why can't they just scan the back of your driver's license? You've got a photo ID or a driver's license. Walk in there and say, here's my driver's license. All they do is scan it. First of all, they don't need to ask who you are, what's your address, and your date of birth, because that's all they're doing here in North Carolina. I walked in, that's all they asked me for. And, that's not fair. And this is not fair to the Republicans, the Democrats. It's not fair to any of them. It's not fair to anybody. So we need fair elections with fair voting. We really do. And to look at what's going on out there, and it's always the same states every time. Last time it was the same state. So, and, it's not a good situation, what's going on. We've got a lot going on out there, and we're going to talk about it. I've got Jerry on the other line. He's going to jump in here, too, in a minute. But I want to talk about a lot of things, and I did write notes tonight because there's a lot to talk about here. First of all, for the House, you've got 204 Democrats right now, and then you've got, for the Republicans, you got 212. That's close. You need 218 to control the House. They didn't think this was going to go on like this. They said it a long time ago. Oh, it was going to be easy. It was going to be a red wave. I kept saying, do not count this as a red wave. I also said to some of these people out there, when you're telling people, hey, it's going to be a red wave, people are going to stay at home. A lot of them just, I don't need to vote. This is a problem. It's a problem with the Republicans saying that. It's a problem with the news sources saying that. Some of these conservative news sources are out there, it's going to be a red wave, and it's wrong. Don't ever, ever listen to these guys. Because you see what just happened. It's not a red wave. It really isn't. But it's also something that we're going to talk about with fair elections. Now, I wanted to talk about this because this is a serious thing in our country right now. And I hear people so riled up and angry. I mean, to the point, I'm hearing people want to take it to the streets. That's how angry they are. And it's not Trump supporters. Don't even go there with me. It is a lot of people out there are just frustrated with the system. So, and then we look at the Senate right now. The Senate's at 50. It's 49 for the Republicans, 50 for the Dems, and then 51 to control. Now, also, you've got Vice President Harris. It's the tiebreaker. So they already got the Senate, if it was fair. I'll be honest. I don't think it's been a fair election. I don't think the last one was, too, because it's the same states. You also got somebody in Arizona right now. I mean, look, you got people in Arizona right now. I mean, you got, I look at the Senate out there, and I mean, you got Mark Kelly and you got Blake Masters. Again, I don't know. How much debating did they do? Also, we talk about a variety of things. We talk about Kari Lake right now and Katie Hobbs out there running for governor. Do you know Katie Hobbs wouldn't even debate? And then my thing is, if she's not debating, how do you know what kind of person she is? How do you know if she can handle her job? I'm just going to say it. She's the Secretary of State. You know what the Secretary of State does? They are in charge. Part of their job is to be in charge of fair elections and making sure everything is done properly and on time. Properly and on time. It's not. Right there is telling you she cannot do her job. And why is she still in charge of it? A conflict of interest. Why? They asked her to step down. They really did. They asked her to step down and not do that. Lake and them asked that. And she refused. That's not good. Jerry, you got anything on this? I'm going to talk. We're going to put Jerry on for a minute. Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise that she refused to recuse herself from counting the votes. I mean, she didn't even really run a campaign. She, did the old Biden hide in the basement and, not answer any questions and, and still got elected, which tells me that Democrats, that's the new thing. And I mean, Fetterman only did one debate, which was at the end, and Hobbs didn't do a debate. And, most of these Democrats aren't doing debates right now because they know that, that they're going to get elected. And how would they know that they're going to get elected? Well, take a wild stab at that.
Biden already said it. He already said we're going to get the House.
Yep.
What's fair about this? I'm asking you people out there. Please go to my website. Go to just-markcommonsense.com. Email me. Please join and share because this isn't over. We are not done right now. We are not. This has got to be straightened up. This needs to be straightened up. And I'm actually holding the Republicans accountable for this as well. I'm tired of hearing about it. You got a lot of people out there that keep talking the talk, but they're not doing anything about it. What about you, Ted Cruz? Get out there and do something about this. Start jumping on this. Jim Jordan, you too. Let's go. Mark Rubio, go. Let's get involved in this. And I'm talking from both sides. Because let's talk about it. If you are an American, to have fair elections, if it's Democrat or Republican, you would want this if you are a decent, fair person. If you were against...
Brian, only the cheaters don't ever want... The cheaters don't want a fair election, and that's why Democrats aren't fighting for it, because whenever somebody's caught cheating, 99% of the time it's Democrat.
I understand, but I wanted to go into this. I wanted to break this down, though. I mean, I'm saying this for a reason. Because, guys, if you're out there thinking this is right not to have voter ID, to be fair on both sides, then you need to take a long look in the mirror and be very disappointed in yourself. You truly do. Look, I could go in there, because you could pull it up online. I'm going to say it. I could go and pull somebody's name up online, get their date of birth, get their address, know where they're voting in the area. I go in there and say, guess what? I am Tom Smith. Here's my address. Here's my, date of birth. Okay, here's your ballot. Go vote. Guess what? I voted. All of a sudden, he comes in a week later. He says, hey, I'm here to vote. You already voted, sir. What are you talking about? I didn't vote. Is that fair? Is that fair? And if you think it is, I'm going to say it. You're an idiot. You're a complete idiot. It's not fair to do this. We're going to break these numbers down because I really want to get into this. I think Arizona should be recounted. And it's not just Arizona. California is still counting. Do you realize that? Nevada. They had a problem. Pennsylvania. They had a problem. This has been a nightmare. Guess who's handling all this? And I don't want to point the finger, but I am. The majority is liberals. The Democrats. Look, I know some Democrats, and they moved from California and moved from other places. And I asked them, I said, what's the reason why did you move? Because we have so many homeless people out there. It's a mess out there. The governor doesn't know what he's doing out there. Yet you come here and you vote the same way. So it's not the governor's fault. It's your fault for voting the same way. It truly is. You can't bring your beliefs out of a state you're against, what they're doing over there, and bring the same stuff to another state and vote. You need to change some things about yourself. And not to say all Republicans are good either, because that's the same thing. There's Republicans out there that are radicals. They truly are. And we're seeing it out there. Trust me. I'm going to jump on Marjorie Taylor Greene for a minute. I like some things about her, but to sit there and say, I just filed papers for impeachment of Biden. She's been doing that for almost 2 years. All she's doing is wasting everybody's time by doing that. To impeach Biden, you need to get the Senate. You need to get the House to get him fully impeached. Yeah, Trump got impeached. You're going to say that. I know, guys, you will say that. Was he fully impeached? Technically, was he kicked out? No. Because the House impeached him, but the Senate said no. Until he's out, whoever the president may be, that's when you're impeached completely. So, what's your thoughts, Jerry?
Yeah, well, I mean, and see, that's part of the thing with the House right now is, if you have the House, you can impeach them, but then it takes the Senate to hold the trial. And so basically the impeachment is just an indictment, just like if somebody were indicted on a crime out in the civilian world. And, I mean, it's like, okay, this is what you're charged with. And then it goes to a trial. So, basically the House would be like the police department doing the investigation and filing the charges. And then the Senate's the court holding the trial. Right. And so, without the Senate, you're right. They're not going to get a removal from office. And so, but the thing is, as far as going back to the voter ID, it's actually even simpler than, what you were bringing up. I was talking to a lady in line that said, if I wanted to cheat, it would have been easy. She said, I didn't even have to know my birth date and address. She said, because as soon as I told them my name, they flipped to that page in the book. And she said, as long as I can read upside down, I could have just read it right off. So if I just walked in and said I was so-and-so, they flipped to that page and I just look down and go, yeah, that's me, and point to it in the book. And, and she said, and all I'd have to do is read it right from the book. So, as bad as it would be if you knew somebody's address and birth date, it's actually even easier than that. And, for, the Democrats to say, oh, well, I mean, poor people can't get IDs. Nonsense. Oh, black people can't get IDs. Nonsense. Because they need IDs to buy cigarettes, buy beer, cash a check, rent a car, get an apartment, get government benefits.
Right.
And so, you need an ID for everything. And so, to say you don't need voter ID, anybody that says you don't need voter ID condones fraud.
Correct.
Plain and simple. I mean, you condone fraud if you say you don't need voter ID. There is no reason to be doing something that important without proving that you're the right person.
I'm going to bring Governor Cooper up here in North Carolina, and I'm going to ask you, Governor Cooper, why aren't you doing your job about this and trying to get voter ID? Why, if you think you're a decent, good person and you want fair elections, why aren't you doing that yourself and saying, look, we need to come up with a solution that's good for both people? Because as a governor, you represent, and I'm going to say it again, you represent all the people in North Carolina. You don't just represent the Democrats. Your job is to do your job and represent everybody. And to have fair, equal elections, you should be pushing voter ID and doing the right thing. And that goes for any governor, anybody, I mean, in any state right now. And it goes for the American people to say the same thing. This is common sense, people. It really is. Do you go in and, let me ask you a question for you guys out there. Do you actually have say if your kid walked into a convenience store and your kid's 17 years old and they didn't have to show an ID to buy alcohol? I want you to think about this. All of a sudden, your kid goes in there and they say, hey, my name is blah, 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 such and such, different name. Here's my date of birth. That's all you say. Oh, here's your alcohol. Guess what? That kid drinks, hops in a car, drives down the road, and kills someone else's son in an accident. These are the implications of things like this. This is the implication of what's going on right now. Because if they scan this thing, if they scan an ID, a driver's license, the back, do you know, first of all, it's much faster. Instead of waiting, God knows, for a week or two, if not longer, and looking like you're stupid out in Arizona, which obviously she runs this thing, and I'm going to talk about it. If Katie Hobbs is running this thing, she's not capable of doing her job. How can she lead you guys out there if she's not capable of doing her job? And you know what? Kari Lake, she didn't even get a chance to debate with her, because Kari Lake probably would have torn her up in a debate. I guarantee she would have torn her up. And you know what?
Well, Brian, you also mentioned,
Yeah,
the being able to walk in and, buy alcohol if you're underage and everything like that.
Sure.
But I mean, it goes much further than that.
Of course it does.
You could walk in and say that, hey, I'm Brian, and, that prescription that you have for whatever, and it's some, heavy narcotic drug or something like that.
Right.
And, it's like, and I just walk in and say that I'm somebody else, and I could get that. And if I don't have to prove who I am or that I'm old enough, which, by the way, at a pharmacy for certain drugs you do,
right.
You could walk in and go into a service department and take somebody else's car, Oh yeah. See that white one over there? Yeah, that's me, and it's like, oh, I'm Mr. Jones. And it's like, and that's right. I mean, so it's just, the argument against ID and frankly, as far as ID and how easy it is to use it. Okay.
All right.
I had to go through the airport today and go through security, and they don't even check your boarding pass at security anymore. They just take your ID, they stick it in a little scanner, and it scans, and your picture pops up, and, they look at your picture, they look at you, and, they might ask you what gate you're going to or what airline you're flying or something like that, but they already know who you are just by doing that. And so, like you said, it would save time, and also it would be far more accurate than,
absolutely,
just allowing somebody to walk in and state their name when it might not even really be theirs. And to that point, you mentioned somebody could do that. It was actually done a few years ago when Obama was president. One of the reporters went into the polling station in Washington, D.C., and said that his name was Jeffrey Holder, who happened to be the Attorney General of the United States. He says, yeah, my name's Jeffrey Holder. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he gave him Holder's address, and they started to hand him Holder's ballot. He didn't take it because telling him he was Jeffrey Holder wasn't a crime. Had he accepted the ballot, now it's a felony. Right. So he said, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go to my car and get my ID. And they're, oh, you don't need your ID. You already told us who you were. So, I mean, that was the Attorney General of the United States. This guy was about to get the Attorney General's ballot to vote. I mean, not really. He was just trying to prove a point.
Right.
But that was how simple it was. He literally just walked in. So it's not even a hypothetical. It actually happened, and this guy reported on it.
Right. And you know what? I want to talk about Biden. You're supposed to be the leader of this country. Well, then lead. A true leader leads by example. I mean, that's what I always say. And you're not doing a good job. You're dividing this country because you talk about the Democrats more than the Republicans. Your job is to govern everybody. Democrats, Republicans, conservative.
Well, he creates the division by saying that Republicans are the bad guys.
Right.
Oh, yeah, those MAGA Republicans are the reason for all the troubles in the United States. Not like, oh, yeah, there's a few individuals that, do bad things. But, he literally says Republicans are the bad guys.
Right. And the problem is you've got bad guys on both sides. I'll say it. I am still knocking some of the Republicans, too, out there, Jerry. I am. Because there are bad ones out there. But the majority right now lately has been Democrats. And it's been going on for years.
Yep.
And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Guys, it's time to put your grown-up pants on or dresses or whatever, and get out there and do the right thing. We're Americans. We're people. One nation under God. I'll say it. It's always been that way. You may pick your God. Some people may not believe in God. That's fine. That's your choice. But again, just want to say it for a reason. Now, I do want to bring up some things here. I want to talk about some numbers, okay? So, first of all, I want to talk about what's going on in Arizona with the governor's race right now. Things changed just a little bit ago. I had numbers about an hour ago, and they did change. They actually went a little more towards Kari Lake. But again, 97.87% in right now. Okay, so basically, she is 20,475 votes away. That's where she sits. My big question is, I think Katie Hobbs is not doing a good job to be in charge of all that. It's almost like, hey, I'm going to go in there and do what I want and tell people what to do. That's what you're doing. Look, there was a report, and it's true. I'm going to go through a couple reports. In one of the stations where they counted, where they're supposed to be counting, the cameras went off approximately 11:15 and came on at 7:05 in the morning. Why? They said, oh, well, because we had a problem with the camera feed. There were some problems. And look, I'll be honest. I got Ring cameras. I got backup batteries on those. I've never seen a problem with my Ring camera. It's a lot cheaper than what they're supposed to be using. You may want to reevaluate who they're using, but I think it's more than just that. I also want to talk about another thing. When you talk about this, Katie Hobbs, you're in charge of all this. Why was it most of the liberals, where the liberals were voting, why were the stations? Why were they having problems with ink and paper and all this? I don't get it. So I don't know.
Well,
I mean the opposite, but yeah.
Years ago, there would be an election this year.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they knew.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure how it is that they didn't have enough paper on hand. I'm not sure how their printers didn't have enough toner.
Right.
I'm not sure. So all these things that they're claiming were problems, and then the tabulating machines weren't working.
Right.
Okay. So can you show me the records of when you tested them and how you tested them and what the results were when you tested them? No, you can't, because you didn't want them to work.
Exactly. Now,
there was the one polling place that Kari Lake was at that they literally, it was like 2 hours that the tabulating machines were broken. And, and she was trying to tell people to stay in line and vote. At that point, somebody should have just walked out with a handful of ballots and said, okay, guys, we're going to do this the old fashioned way, and it's like, and, we'll count them, once the machines are back up. But, because how many people left at that point?
They were actually
and had to go to work or had to go, wherever.
A lot of them were turned away too, Jerry. They were. They were turned away.
Turned away. Yep.
I want to go somewhere with you just said. Let's go out and hand ballots out. So, okay, let's go hand ballots. Okay, so you're going to. All right. So I got this stack of ballots, whole bunch of ballots in my hand that people just voted on. I'm walking inside. Can you trust me if you don't know who I am? If I go through those ballots as I'm walking, how many am I throwing out? Just a point.
Well, if you're a poll worker, you should have been vetted already.
Should have been.
Yeah.
Should have been. Do you trust that, Jerry? I don't.
No, not necessarily, but it's better than not letting people vote at all.
Well, of course, but my point is, I do not trust the system right now the way it's sitting. I don't think we have fair elections at all. I think we should have voter ID, and that would fix a lot of this.
Well, you mentioned why doesn't Governor Cooper in North Carolina work to get fair elections? Well, frankly, he probably wouldn't be governor if we had honest elections in North Carolina the first time he ran.
Yeah.
And so, because there was a big thing where he was way behind, and then all of a sudden there was problems in a liberal area. And when those polls opened, magically enough votes came out of that particular polling area to put him over the top and win the governorship.
Yep.
And it's like kind of weird how that works. The only place in North Carolina that night that had trouble voting, and a whole bunch of votes came in for him.
And that's happening
at the attorney general of the state.
Right. And that's happening at a lot of places right now. Look, I'm going to say Florida did it right. They did. They were the only ones that really knocked it out pretty out of the park. They had it done. They had it done that quick. I mean, it was done. And you know what? They had one problem with one county or city. I believe they had a problem there. But and little things are expected, but they still had it cleaned up before morning. And
voting, I mean, there should be a law that the votes must be counted within 24 hours.
Absolutely.
I mean, in any election, if you don't want to count your mayoral election within 24 hours, then that's up to the state. But when it comes to a federal election, there should be a law that all votes are counted within 24 hours. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Well,
no reasons.
I'm very passionate about this tonight, and a lot of people are. I'm hearing about it through a lot of people. And I have people that I've spoken to are so angry about all that's going on throughout our country right now. I'm very disappointed in our government as far as Joe Biden, Harris. I'm even disappointed in, Chuck Schumer. Another one. Very disappointed. He should be out. He should leave. He should step down. You talk about John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. I look at the way this guy handles himself, John Fetterman. He runs around in a hoodie, not very professional. Some people say they voted because they look at him like, oh, I'm a down-to-earth person. I heard that. You know what? I want to see if since he's going to be in the Senate and all, I want to see what he looks like when he's dressed up and all. Is he going to dress up or is he going to walk in with the hoodie on?
Well, even when he dressed up for that debate,
yeah,
his tie wasn't done right. His top button of his shirt wasn't buttoned.
Right.
He didn't even really look like he was, like it was even his suit.
Yeah. Well,
but you got to remember that he's not there to actually think for himself. He's there to be told what to say,
right,
and how to vote, and everything like that. So,
and
like Ocasio-Cortez. There's nobody out there that will honestly admit that she knows what she's talking about, or she knows what she's doing, or anything like that. She is there to just basically vote, the Democrat line. That's it.
Yeah, I know.
She's not very smart, and she's not very, she's got a college degree, but I forget what it was in, but, it was like geography or something like that. And so, but she's just not a very intelligent person. And so she's there for the purpose of, giving them a vote. And so they ran her in an area where she pretty much couldn't lose. And
right.
That's, but the thing is with Fetterman, what they did was they didn't allow him to debate until, a significant number of the votes had already been cast, because their debate was like 3 weeks after early voting started. And so how many hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people had already voted in Pennsylvania,
right?
Before he even went up and did the debate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was with, so I'm going to say I was with Donnie Harrison when he was running for sheriff here. And I saw his signs all over the place. I saw very few of the other guy running, and I Roe, and I didn't see a lot of debate out of him. But I seen basically Donnie was all over the place. He was up in the mornings. Everybody was shocked when he lost. I'm not saying
not only that, but Roe didn't have a record that he was running on. He didn't. And it's like, but see, that has become the new in Democrat areas, and unfortunately, Wake County is more blue than red.
Yeah,
and so they refuse to debate, or they debate in a very limited fashion.
Yeah,
because they know that the fix is in. And if you look at, and whether it's a fix or not,
I'm not going to say that.
If you look at Joe Biden when he went on, that interview when he was running for president, and said, well, if you don't know if you're voting for me or Trump, then you ain't black. And it's like, so he's just out there expecting the black vote. And, it's like, so there's just certain things where there's too much to be coincidence. And so the fact that all of a sudden that's the new way to run for office and they keep getting elected, something doesn't smell right.
And I also said this, I've been saying this since this whole thing started a couple of weeks or a week ago or so, but I said, watch the numbers. And I kept saying, watch them, especially at night, especially on the weekend. I said, watch what happens to the House. Watch these numbers. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, like little thieves, I saw the numbers going up and up and up on the Democrats. I saw that. I saw it changing. You know what? Why? Why is it in the middle of the night? Why we wake up in the next morning? Because it's not brought up on the news as much as you would think. News medias are hiding it. Journalists are not doing their job. And I'll say it. If you're a journalist and you're not out there reporting this stuff, you are not doing your job. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and realize you're not a true journalist then. And I want to talk about Donnie Harrison. I respect the man a lot. Respect him a lot. And then with Roe, all I can do is wish him to a great job. Don't look at, you're going to be a sheriff out there, and you need to look at everybody, make sure everything's equal to everybody, and that's your job. Donnie was running off the same thing, and Donnie actually called Roe, and they spoke, and it was very peaceful. Everything went great. And so, yes, we're going to support Roe, our sheriff, at this point. We're going to do the right thing as long as he's doing his job, which I'm hoping he will, better than the last guy we had by far. So, but that I'll just put on the table for another night, because this is really about what's going on in the states right now. And this is a serious problem that we're having. And we need serious people to take action on this and do their job. If you want to get out there and protest, I say protest. If that's your choice, protest peacefully. I got to say that nowadays because they'll take it wrong. Peacefully, and just do the right thing. But again, I have people saying, "Oh, I called our congressmen and women. I called our senator, and nobody calls me back." Look, Tom Tillis, you're another one I'm going to go after right now. Why aren't you out there doing anything about this? Why not? You should be out there talking about this right now, talking about what's going on in all these states, and talking about voter ID as well. Everybody sitting in D.C. right now should be handling this, talking about this on both sides, doing your job. That's what you're hired for. As I say, you're the employee, we're the employers. And that's what you forgot. I say it all the time. And that goes for Governor Cooper. That goes for all governors in the whole country. That also goes for the President of the United States. Everybody. Do the right job. Be decent human beings. Try to. I know it's hard for a lot of you. Gosh knows. Anyway, what else with this tonight, Jerry? Anything else you could think of?
No, not really. Voter ID is critically important, and until we get it, I think you're going to see the same nonsense you've seen in the last two election cycles, and you're going to see people that are put into office that really truly weren't elected, and it's going to continue to happen. And but now it's just become a blatant in your face, because now they're not even pretending, because they're not even doing the debates. They're not going out in public and holding public events and everything like that. They're literally just putting their name on a ballot and then sitting at home on the couch and not even running. And there's no way that in a lot of these districts that these people there's no way that Biden sat in his basement and basically got more votes than any other presidential candidate in history.
Right.
There's just no way.
Right. I want to say something too, and it really hurts, because I'm for some of the Democrats out there, because some of these Democrats won fairly. They truly did. And the problem is you're going to have people looking at them because of this now and questioning, did you really win? Did you run fairly? Did you win? And God knows, a lot of them did, and they did their job, and they won. And I commend them for winning the right way. But again, people are questioning, and then you got to look in the mirror saying, great, I did it right, and I fairly did it. And now people are questioning me because of what's going on, because of other people out there not doing it. It's not fair for those people in your party. I wish we just sometimes didn't have parties. I wish we could all think on the same level. We're all going to agree to disagree. We're all going to disagree on many things and agree on many things. But the problem is it's called power. And that's what they want. They want power. And that's a problem. It should be about everybody being on the same level. But they're not. You got a short time on this planet. You're like a little piece of sand on this planet. Time's not much. Tick, tick, it's gone. What have you achieved? Nothing but problems. Think about it. Anyway, what else, Jerry, before we end the show? Because I've got to move on. So, guys, I want you to go ahead and go to my website. I'm going to be on Twitter tonight. I'm going to be having a conversation out there as well. Also going to be on TikTok briefly because they want me to be on there. And then might even jump over to Facebook Live. We're going to do a lot here tonight. I'm going to go on with this. So if you want to go to my website, go to just-common-sense.com. Scroll to the bottom. You can email me. You can actually go ahead and subscribe. Go in there and check out my my Twitter account. I'm in there. Go under there. And then if you need to reach me, go into my email. That's going to be in there. It's at the very bottom. So please subscribe and join, and that would be great. And I'd love to hear from our governor of North Carolina. Why do you not believe in voter ID? Why do you not believe in it? Why about the mayor of Raleigh? Same thing. Why do you not believe in voter ID? Why aren't you doing anything about this? Even for the mayors of these cities, why not? Go to my website. Please scroll to the bottom. Please go in there and email me. I would love to have a debate with you or even have a conversation with you. I would love to have a debate with you even. A lot of them are too scared to have a debate, Jerry.
Yep.
Even with me. And I've called many of them out before, and they don't debate. I've gotten into a debate with a few, and all of a sudden, the tide's changed, and people are going, well, wait a minute. Why aren't you asking Brian's questions? They're avoiding it. When it comes to a politician, I'm going to say this. There are two answers. Yes or no. Yes and no. That's it. Not, well, I got it, and you're trying to dodge a question. The reason why you're dodging a question is because you don't want to answer it, because you're probably going to get caught in a lie. And by not answering it, you're lying. I always have an old saying about it. Your lips are moving, you're lying when it comes to this stuff. Yeah. And politicians, it's a political field. It is crazy. It is rough. It is miserable for people. You've got to be able to handle people getting in your face, screaming at you and everything else. And don't take it personal. You need to do that. Unfortunately, the world's like that. So, and no, we're not talking about Trump. He's going to be making whatever announcement tomorrow night. That's irrelevant right now. I could care less about that. My thing is right now, voter ID and fair elections, fair voting, and that's for everybody. All right, Jerry, anything else? Because I'm ending it now.
Nope, that should do it.
All right, guys, please check me out. I'm going to be on these other sites tonight. Please email me. I'd love to hear back from you. Again, just-commonsense.com, because that's what it's about. Nobody apparently has it out there. And as we're saying this, I want to say thanks for our law enforcement for everything you guys do. Guys, you guys are awesome. Thanks for our military for everything you guys are doing out there right now. And also our first responders. Want to thank you guys for everything you're doing out there right now. Our truck drivers. Oh, gosh, so many things out there. Our farmers. I want to thank you guys out there as well. Do want to mention something I did hear today. We are having, I heard it on the news today. Now, I didn't look into it. I'll say it. But apparently amoxicillin's a problem out there. There's a shortage of amoxicillin, I'm hearing. Nebulizers, because the flu is going rampant out there, especially for children, apparently. So that's out there, too, right now. So look into that, guys, because this shouldn't be the case. This should not be happening right now. And our president should be out there talking about this stuff right now. Talking about important things right now. You know, there's a part right now, Joe Biden, where you really need to focus on the American people, not focus on electric cars, focus on this other stuff. You're not talking about the things that everybody wants to talk about. You know, inflation's one of the biggest things right now. Not abortion, inflation. People need to have money back in their pockets. They need to be able to afford food. Something needs to be done about this. Oh, yes, you dropped the gas prices. I'll say it, yes. You've taken the strategic reserves down to almost empty. They're getting quite low right now. The reason why you did that is because you wanted to go ahead and say, I lowered gas prices. Well, guess what? Not by much, but I lowered gas prices. Well, guess what? November's out of here. What's going to happen next? I'm curious. Because you're not going to be drilling in this country, you said. So, anyway, that's another story. Guys, God bless you. Have a great night. God bless America. And again, go to my website and check it out, and I'd love to talk with you guys. Thank you for listening. Good night.